Good morning, everyone. This is a webinar in the Local Flavors series, and the title for today is How to Build a Profitable Food Business Brand in 11 Easy Steps. And there may be a few more or a few less that you might think, but at least 11 I think are needed to build a successful food business brand. But before we talk about building it, let's talk about the main problem that most companies face today, and it's this. Most companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. And you can see it in lots of different ways. And we're going to study a little bit about that today, because before you can build a brand, your messaging has to be clear. So one of the reasons that companies fail to do this is that they don't clearly explain what the product or service offer is on their website, on their social media, wherever it is that they have marketing collateral. They fail to be very, very clear about what their product or service offer is. A second reason is that companies don't explain how a customer's life is going to be made better if the customer buys the product or service. That's why we buy products and services, is to make our lives better. And if someone hasn't communicated exactly how that looks, then we have a hard time envisioning our lives being better if you're not telling us. So that's reason number two. Reason number three, customers don't know what steps to take to do business with the company. It's not clear. If it's clear on their website, social media, whatever they're doing, it's going to be a lot easier for a customer to take that next step and actually buy or engage with you online. So those are really the three reasons why companies typically can waste a lot of money on marketing. And it's mostly just because the messaging isn't clear. Now, today we're going to spend some time looking at a few websites to demonstrate what I'm talking about. And this is the first website I want you to take a look at. And we're going to point out really something very easy. I'm going to give you a tool, a set of 3 questions you can always ask, and to get clarity about, avoiding what I call the money pit of marketing, whereas you don't have a clear message. So this particular website, you can see the main title says, "Your journey starts here." I'll just ask you, is it clear what the offer is? Is it clear what the product is? And the answer is no, it's not. I don't know about the journey. I don't know where here really is. The picture makes me somewhat concerned. It looks like a photography school maybe, or something like that. But the way it looks here, my journey is going to start on the top of a cliff. And I don't know if I feel great about that or not. So it's not very clear. And the second thing is, does it tell me how my life is going to be made better if I buy it? Well, I already struggle to know what it is. And so now I'm struggling to understand, how's it going to help me? And they put a subtitle here, Artisan Innovative Solutions, but it really doesn't help you understand anything about the nature of benefiting your life. And so for that reason, it fails the second question as well. And the third question is, how do I buy or engage? Well, it puts learn more is sort of the call to action here, but learn more is really passive. It's not an action type verb or anything or phrase. And so you want to use something different. Get started is okay. The problem is I don't know really what I'm getting started to do, so I'm probably not going to click on this. Now, if I'm looking for a photography school or something that's even remotely close to this kind of business, and I go online and another company shows me clearly what the offer is, how it makes my life better, and how I buy it, I'm going to do business with that website, that company, because their brand message is clear. And so this is the first building block to really making your food-based business brand very, very clear to consumers or whoever you're selling to. So here's the tool. It's something I call the brand message grunt test. You want to be as clear or so clear that even a caveman can understand these 3 things. This is in all your marketing collateral, on your website, your social media, whatever you're doing to build your brand, your food-based brand. You want to be clear on these 3 things. So that's the tool we're going to use today. We're going to demonstrate it over and over, and hopefully by the end of the time together, it'll be pretty clear how you use it. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the distinction between marketing and branding. And then why is branding or building a brand so easy today? Why is it easy to do? How can you use it, the tools to build a food-based brand? And then what are these 11 steps? We talked about that's the main focus of the webinar. So we're going to lay out those 11 steps for you briefly. some final points, and then I'm going to give you a free brand message tool at the very end to help you with your food-based business. If you're trying to clarify your brand message, it'll be a great tool that you can use to do that. So first, the difference between marketing and branding is fairly easy. Marketing is really the activity, the set of things that you do. It's the process of creating communications, delivering your content to customers, clients, partners, everybody. It's you pushing out, an activity that forms a message. Branding is really what happens in the mind of the consumer. After I've consumed the product or service, I have an opinion, and I remember the colors, I remember the logo, I remember the slogan, I remember all those things. And so if you think about it, if I say Coca-Cola, most likely the colors that come to mind are going to be red and white. And Coca-Cola has spent millions upon millions of dollars helping us understand that's what they want us to remember. And other things about the product, right? It's refreshing, all these different things that they use to market it. So that's the distinction between branding and marketing. Marketing is what you do online and elsewhere to tell customers about what it is you sell. And branding is really what customers say about you based on their experiences with your products or services. So let's do a little exercise here. Assume the prices are equal across all of these bottles of water. And this is a transaction we probably do at least once or twice a week. We may be on the road going somewhere, we stop into a convenient mart, and here we go, we're going to pick a bottle of water. How do you choose? Is it based on what the bottle looks like? Is it the design of it? If prices are equal, which means the same price across all, which one do you pick and why? And so this is the essence of trying to get a message out to consumers and having them respond to this based on memory. If I've done any purchases before, I may have a preference in these. And so the color, the shape of the bottle, even the quality of the water in the bottle may be something that you've looked at. So we make these kinds of choices each and every day. We do it for food, we do it for drinks, we do it for clothing, we do it for automobiles, everything. And all the color design and everything that goes with those products really form our opinion about what the brand is and if I like it and it's going to make my life better or not. So remember this on some brand message guidance, as you build your food-based business brand, if you confuse people, you'll lose them. We crave clarity. We want things to be clear. So you have to give customers a clear message about what it is that you're selling. How does that food make my life better if it's healthy or whatever it is? And then how do I get it? How do I order it? Maybe you have a subscription business, maybe you have a delivery business, whatever you have, you've got to be clear on those fronts. The second thing is when you agitate a consumer's or customer's desire, they enter into the story of your brand and what you're selling. What I mean by that is if you talk about the problem they face, they're going to listen to you much better. If you talk about your company, the history of your company forming, all these other things, they're not going to listen. Nobody wants to hear that. What I want to hear as a customer is how you're going to solve my problem with a food product, whatever it is. And if you can do that, you're going to enter into that whole your brand story here where people will listen to what you're going to say. The third thing is it doesn't matter if it's on social media or websites or any of your other marketing collateral. If you stop talking about your customer's problem that they face, they're going to stop paying attention to you. So you have to keep reminding them of the problem that your product or service solves. That's right. Your product or service is a solution to some customer's problem. So you have to keep talking about it and how you solve that problem in everything you do in marketing. Fourth, your customer is always the hero of the story, not your brand, not your food-based brand, not any kind of brand other than the hero is the customer. What I mean by that is you focus on the customer as the hero. You're going to be the one who comes alongside the hero as sort of a guide, and you're going to really help the customer solve their problem. That's really your role. You have to have some empathy for their problem and demonstrate that. and then offer a reason why they should do business with you based on how you solve problems for other customers, maybe. But either way, you got to remember the customer is always the hero in the story, not your brand. And finally, when they enter into all of this and they're interested in what you're selling, you have to give them an easy step-by-step process. And if you don't, you'll lose people, because our brains are really wired to create or to crave clarity. And anytime I'm reading something on a website or looking at the image and it doesn't match, I'm going to start daydreaming. I'm going to drift. I'm not going to pay attention. And what happens is I'm burning calories. Literally, my brain is burning calories, but I'm not understanding what it is you want me to do and what you sell and how it's going to make my life better. And because of that, I'm going to opt out and do something else, because people don't really read things anymore online. They scan them. And so the easier and the clearer you can be, the better you're going to build your brand. So don't build your website like this where the message is confusing, it's not clear, and it doesn't tell how it makes a customer's life better. And also there's not really an understanding of what the product is. So be very clear about that. Now, I know this is all sounding like theory right now. So what I thought we would do is study some websites and different brand messages that are very clear, so you get kind of the idea of what it looks like. Because before we get into the 11 steps, I mean, this is the first part of it. You've got to have an understanding of what a clear brand message looks like and how it's communicated out to everybody, which is online. So take, for example, this is a food-based business here. This is called Reed's Dairy. Now, when you think of dairy, what kind of picture comes to your mind? Milk, all these different things, right? Well, immediately I see the blue sky and I see a dairy cow. And that's appropriate. In the upper left-hand corner is the logo. And notice how clean it is. It's very clear. It says high quality, pure, healthy, and delicious ice cream, milk, and cheese from your local family dairy farm. I know all the products that they sell right there. I know I know they're local, and I know they're a family dairy farm. So I have a lot of information already about this particular business. Now, they give me 3 things that we can really do here, 3 what I call calls to action. I can order now, milk home delivery, if that's what I want to do. I can look at a store locator, and I can see whether or not I can find a store nearby. Or I can do gift boxes, and I can purchase online. I can go now, right now, and buy now. And so they give you very clear calls to action. The image is appropriate. It's very clean. Everything that needs to be said within 10 seconds, I understand it all. All 3 things on that sort of grunt test, all 3 questions get answered very, very quickly. You've only got about 7 to 10 seconds at most when someone looks at your website to make this first impression to where they understand those 3 things. Here's another one. If you read this particular website, this is storybrand.com, and you'll see the first thing mentioned is the product or service. It's a workshop. And how does it make my life better? Well, if you keep reading, you see that it's going to help you clarify your message. You're going to connect with customers, and then you're going to grow your company. Now, the first 2 questions have been answered in just a few words. What's the third thing? The third thing is to register now. Or if I want a little bit of information, but I'm not ready to register for the workshop, I can at least watch the video down below. And we typically call that a transitional call to action. So here's another one. So again, what's the product or service? It's an online course. How does it make my life better? It's going to grow my company. How do I get it? I'm going to click on the green button that says get the course. Very simple. Here's one from Laser Tag. If you're looking for laser tags, this one says we ran and ship laser tag adventures coast to coast. Pretty clear what they sell. They're not only just selling me the laser tag guns and such, but they're selling me an adventure, and that's really what it is. The image in the background shows a young lady that has a laser tag gun. She's about to tag someone, literally. And so how does it make my life better? Well, it's an adventure. It tells me that's what it's going to be. It's going to be fun. And then 3, how do I do business with them? Well, they lay out 3 steps. How it works, the equipment, and then place a reservation. That's all you got to do. So very clear, very easy to understand. And this is perhaps one very familiar to everybody. Very few words are used on Netflix's website. You can see in the background all the movies. So that's their product. They show you the products. and it says, see what's next. So they sort of open this story loop, if you will. We don't know what's next, and that's the whole point. They want us to actually dig in and sign up and actually get in there and look. So it says watch anywhere, and it says cancel anytime. So cancel anytime is appealing to my maybe hesitation to subscribe, because when you subscribe to online services, if it's difficult to get out of it, you don't subscribe. You'll stay away from it. So they're trying to talk to you about that. So then the call to action is join free for a month. And there you go. And just a few words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words mainly, they've expressed everything they need to do to get you to do business with them. So those are some examples of clear marketing, the messaging, how you can do it on a website. You can do the same thing in social media. And the reason I say that is because it's so easy to build a brand today. We have so many different outlets, and the answer to this question, why is building a brand easy today? Well, it's because of the rise of social media. I don't think it's any surprise. I mean, you could probably guess this, but what's going on and what's happening with it? The rise of social media, YouTube and Facebook continue to be the giants, in terms of social media. This shows the percent of U.S. adults who say they use the following social media sites online or on their cell phones. YouTube and Facebook are at the top. Everybody else is fighting down below, except Instagram is owned by Facebook. So they really have, 2 of the top 3. Also, a majority of Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram users are on the platform daily. This is why advertising is a good thing. If you're a business on these platforms, people are on there all the time, and they're on several times a day. For Facebook, 51%. Snapchat and Instagram, all 3 very strong. And that's what makes, advertising so effective on there for a business. Also, social media platforms like Snapchat and Instagram are really for a younger demographic, 18 to 24, probably less than 30, I would imagine. And YouTube and Facebook still very big in the older population, but the younger, definitely Snapchat and Instagram, and they continue to sort of fight it out with the use of stories and the use of all sorts of things as they compete. The other thing to notice is that it's not just one social media outlet that probably is going to be what you do to build your food business brand. I mean, you're probably going to have 2. And this shows that 90% of LinkedIn users also use Facebook. And you can see the other social media platforms and the ones connected to them that also people are going to use. So just know that if you're doing a lot of business to business type work, LinkedIn is going to be a great place for you. Facebook, if you don't know anything about the other networks, that's the biggest one. I recommend starting there because there's so many different tools for advertising. So just a few points about social media. That's why it is easy to do the things we're going to lay out in this 11-step plan. So here are the 11 steps. Step 1, we talked about this a minute ago. Your company, your business brand in food, what is the problem that you're solving? How's it going to solve a problem for a customer? And when you start thinking about this, certainly there's going to be competition. And because there's competition, you're going to have to think about, how is my business going to be different than a competitor? And who is that competitor? And what do they do? And do they do it well? Is their message clear? How are you going to be different? How are you going to solve a problem a customer has? That's step 1. Step 2, you really have to determine where your customer's at, who they are, and demographics. A lot of other information about your customer you need to understand. Using social media really won't help you if you don't know who your customer is. There's a lot of tools in social media, but if you don't know who it is you're really targeting, they're really not going to help you. So you've really got to make an effort to use these kinds of things to understand who your target market is. And step 3, that feeds right into this. Once you know the customer, then you can look at the social media platform. You can choose better, wisely, and you'll be able to connect with your target market audience. Step 4, you need to develop a clear message so customers will listen. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a free tool that you can use to do that, so that you can clearly articulate a marketing message so customers will listen to you. And we're going to show you more about that in just a minute. Step 5 is really you have to build a full business plan. There are really 2 different thoughts about building business plans. One is you don't need them. The other one is you got to have them. So I think you need to go through the exercise, if nothing else. A lot of companies start, a lot of very, very successful people didn't have a full business plan, but I think you should get one. You should go all the way through the steps and answer the questions. So step 5 is, if you get to step 4 and you get that done, okay, now do your full business plan and see what it looks like. And then when you get that finished, come back to step 6. And that is, look around your community where you are, look online, look for some Facebook groups, other things to get into where you can be mentored. There are people who have started companies all around you. So you might as well learn as much as you can about the mistakes they've made before you try to start yours or grow yours with online marketing or whatever you're doing. Try to find some mentors. If you just look, I think you can find some. Step 7, as you move out of the full the business plan and you're starting to roll things out, you want to build a website and you want to use your clear message like we just talked about, and I showed you how some of those websites look. You want to use your clear message on your website the same kind of way. You want to show empathy. You want to show that you understand the customer's problem. What is it? And then sprinkle lightly on the whole website, some authority that you have, like you've done this for other people, you've done this for other customers, whatever it is, you need a little bit of authority, a little bit of empathy to really build trust with customers online. So really step 7 is about building trust, and you do that by showing empathy and having a little bit of authority that you've done this for other customers before, the customer that's looking at your stuff. So build a website, use clear marketing. Step 8, develop a social media marketing strategy and organize content for at least 90 days. Don't fall out of your chair because you just heard 90 days of content you need to build. You don't. Build 7 days of content. Lay 7 days out first. Go back about midweek or so and start to see which posts get more engagement. Is it always video? Is it image? Is it because you have a long post? Is it a short post? You're going to experiment a lot in the first 30 days. So build the first 7 days, go back and see what's working better, and post again. You're going to have to do this for at least 30 days to get some idea of what is working. And if you don't do that, you're not really going to know. So keep posting, keep experimenting, see what that looks like. Once you sort of get an idea for that, then you can build out the next 60 days. And again, every week you're going to make adjustments. And it's really no different. I'll give you a sports analogy. Is a quarterback comes up to the line of scrimmage, he reads the defense, he makes a change, he makes an audible. So you can do the same thing. Step 9, you need to have a sales funnel. A sales funnel includes how social media ads are going to drive people to your website. You got to have it. Step 10, develop your primary strategy for gaining emails from your website. Let me ask you, do you ever go to websites and you see a pop-up? You ever seen one of those? Well, they're trying to give you some value so that you will also then give your email. And if you do that, people are you're making a trade. So come up with something you can give people on your website and do that. Excuse me. Step 11, use email marketing to nurture social media fans into a relationship with you to be paying customers. And you do that by showing them how your product or service solves their problem, and that's going to transform their life. That is what you can do with email marketing. Final points. Building a brand is about showing empathy to customers, okay? And that you understand their problem and you offer a solution to it. And that's your stuff, whatever you're selling. Building a brand means building a relationship with customers. That is the first section of everything you're doing. Everything you're doing is building a relationship, online, in person, everything that you do. So remember, most companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. You don't want to do that. You can avoid that by applying the brand message grunt test. And that is really clearly everything that you do in messaging. What is it that you're selling? How does it make a customer's life better? And how do they get it? How do they do business with you, buy or engage? You got to tell them those 3 things. Do that in your messaging, and you're going to start to build a very successful brand messaging company. So here's the free brand message tool I mentioned a minute ago. If you go to mystorybrand.com, you'll see a framework called StoryBrand. And what it is, it has 7 components. And this is an example of what you'll see. These are 7 pieces that you'll answer some questions. You'll get an idea on how you can clarify your message. And again, all of this starts with a character, which happens to be your customer. You're going to understand, what your customer wants, and you're going to write it down. Then you're going to see, well, what's the problem that my business is solving as a food-based business? What is that? And then you're going to really be the guide. I mean, that's the whole idea. And then you've got to give them a clear plan, and then think about how are you going to call them to action, all your marketing collateral, and so forth and so on. So you can go online again at mystorybrand.com and check out this free tool. If after that you have more questions, you want some more information about how to do that, you can always go to the Bricks to Clicks website that I have. You can schedule a call, and I'll be glad to take a look at your website, social media, wherever you have, and we'll see if we can help you clarify your brand message. And with that, I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions in the chat box, and if there are, I'll answer them. If not, we'll call it a day. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining me. I hope this has been helpful as you work to build a food-based business brand. There are 11 steps and some free tools that we gave out today. If you have more questions, please feel free to contact me. And thank you again for joining me.